When I was a little girl, I used to watch how my grandma wove a tiki. It's a felt carpet made of wool and memory. Every color had a meaning. Every pattern told the story. The story of migration, of birth, of love. Once I asked her, Grandma, why do you need to spend so much time on this? She looked at me, smiled, and said quietly, because when our hands remember, our hearts survive. When our hands remember, our hearts survive. This sentence became a seed of our research. And it also became a question that we ask. Can leadership itself be an act of remembering? In today's world, we've been taught that leadership is being fast, innovative, and scalable. Global creative industry as a fashion, media, cinema, music, they all were built on this myth where solo individual lead by being a faster than everyone else. In our research, I met women who lead by slowing down, who lead not by scaling up, but rooting down. They don't chase growth, they grow back. My name is Alua, and I'm a researcher at Nazarbayev University. And our team interviewed 21 women in Kazakhstan across subsectors of creative industry. The leaders in their subsectors, the architects, designers, musicians, storytellers, event managers. And we want to find out, how do they actually lead? And the answer was surprisingly different. The different that we used to read in corporate management handbooks. The answers were poetic. They sound like a poems. They told about care. They care about teaching young women to wave, of reviving endangered crafts, of replanting forgotten indigenous ecological. Their stories showed us that leadership is not always a job title, but sometimes it's a living practice, an act of cultural reclamation. We built a 3 layers. And the first layer, the first insight that we discovered in our research, we so-called rediscovering the self through cultural memory. Because most of those women started their journey by reintroducing the something that they have been told to forget. The architect Banu told me that when I saw young artists performing in our Kazakh language, I realized that our language is rich, it's deep, and it's powerful. I had been designing in borrowed language. Now I built in my own. Gulmira, another designer who introduced traditional carpets like Alasha and Tekemet in modern corporate spaces, said that when she decorate, she brings ancestors into everyday life, into our everyday life. For her, designing, it's not just a designing, it's a bringing something back into our everyday, into our life. So those women are not preserving the past, they are activating them. The next layer that we found out, we called relational infrastructure of care. The women are talked about leadership not as a solo performance, but as a cycle. Madina, who runs Rug and Wool Cooperation, where they teach young people of traditional weaving, she said that youngsters quite often think that it's too old. They fear the tradition. And she said that they think the heritage is outdated. I say it's not old, it's alive. So what is this leadership? The leadership of remembering, the leadership of memory. The third layer, the third insight, we called rooted enterprises, embedding rooted enterprises. Don't worry, this sounds quite complicated, but actually, in reality, it's about leadership which gains a physical preference. So it's become visible in architecture, in a fashion, in design, in the music. So Iconum, the lady who works with a traditional rug maker, she said that I don't want people to see these traditional designs just in the museums. I want them to have it at home and see it every day and make it part of their life. Another lady who reintroduced yurt, iconic symbol of nomad lifestyle in a steppe, said that modernity should come out. So she reintroduced the yurt by using sustainable materials. She said yurt teach us to live with the nature, not against it. My goal is to bring this philosophy in a modern lifestyle. So, is this leadership? Our research created a theoretical framework which is built on these three strands: temporal sovereignty, relational care, and cultural sovereignty. Temporal sovereignty talks about having a pause sometimes, not chasing the market urgency, and think about rhythm of land, rhythm of ecology, rhythm of culture. The second layer, relational care, is talk about community care. We are saying that leadership, it's not always solo performance. It doesn't have to be a solo performance. It's about community building. It's about us. The third layer, called cultural sovereignty, leadership through heritage. And we're talking about that leadership can be done through care of our culture, of our language, of our heritage. This is also leadership. It's not leadership about dominance. It's leadership about continuity. It's not leadership about scaling up. It's a leadership about rooting deeper. one of the ladies, again, she said that they wanted us to forget. They wanted us to forget our songs. They wanted us to forget our culture, our language, but we refused. Because when I at home alone, I'm not alone. My hands guided by generation before me. It's a generational leadership. Many women during our interview mentioned and they said about something about steep sisterhood. And what is it? It's a standing together no matter what is cost. And one of the artists said that when difficult times comes, Kazakh women do not say I can't. They say yes. They stand together. They protect. They rebuild. And this is the leadership. I want you to live with the thought. What happens if you change? What happens if the change happening in your organization, in your art, in your world, through not speeding up, but through memory? Because leadership is not about being faster, being first, no matter the cost, being competitiveness, being competitive. It's not about that. It's about standing together, holding a cycle, keeping the fire for those who coming after us. Thank you.